All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today for our Women's Philanthropy Board Roundtable, highlighting the College of Human Sciences Office of Global Education. I'm Mary Elizabeth Hukai, and I serve as Assistant Director of the Women's Philanthropy Board. As many of you know, WPB is an educational outreach arm of the College of Human Sciences at Auburn University, and we provide educational programs to the public on a wide range of topics, as well as mentoring initiatives and scholarships and grants within Auburn University. We're delighted to have with us today for today's program members of the College of Human Sciences Global Education team, who will tell us about the educational and immersive global experiences that are available to CHS students. Joining us are Lacey Armstrong, Executive Director of the Joseph S. Bruno Auburn Abroad in Italy program, Megan Elliott, Academic Administrator and Study Abroad Coordinator, and Dr. Abby Storm McCann, who is a lecturer in the Global Studies program. Lacey, Megan, and Abby Storm, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having us. And I just want to give everyone a little heads up. Lacey and then a couple of our students are Zooming in from Italy, and the internet can be a little iffy. So just a heads up, if there's a pause, just bear with us and we'll get it sorted out. And I'm ready to go ahead and jump in, Mary Elizabeth. All right, well, I'm going to start sharing my screen, and we will get our program going. All right, Abby Storm?
Yeah, so before we dive completely into study abroad, which is the exciting part of kind of what our office does, we wanted to touch on a few other pieces that we really see our office doing. So like it says, the global education. So it's not just study abroad. We do a lot of other different things coming out of the office. And a couple of those things that we really want to talk about is we have a core social science class that's offered across campus. So anybody can take it, not just human science students. That is globally focused and culturally focused. And we're really proud of it. Kate Thornton used to teach that class, and then it got bumped to me when I got brought onto the team. And it's something that we work really hard to make personal to each cohort of students that goes through that class. So we talk about global issues, and they tell me what they're interested in, and then we take that and we build the class based off of that. So that's one way to kind of get this cultural information and competencies kind of across the board, not just to our students, but to Auburn in general. So we really see ourselves as a service to the college in many ways. So the second way, and we incorporate this into that Global Studies 2000 class, as well as you'll see later in our study abroad programs as well, is cultural intelligence, which is a measure that we use to kind of assess how students grow from start to finish. So it's a pre and post test. And these are the four factors, subcategories that are kind of broken down into. So you have your drive, your knowledge, your action, and your strategy. And what's cool about cultural intelligence is that it's not stagnant. It's something that you can grow in, and it's something that you can work to grow in. And so, our students take it at the beginning of that global studies class, and then we do it at the end, and we kind of talk about the results. We have our study abroad students take it before they go on a trip, and then when they get back from a program as well. And so some students take it more than once. So they might see themselves as an on-campus experience and then take it again as a study abroad experience. It can really see true growth through this assessment. So we love it. It's something that we use, and we're trying to put in a bunch of different ways, in as many ways as possible, to give our students some actionable steps to know, like, this is really working. You're not just taking this fun trip, but it's actually giving you something like a resume piece almost to push you forward. And another little piece that kind of is going to complement cultural intelligence really well is in the end of this month, actually, we're doing a culture bump training, which deals not just with assessment, but with how to navigate cultural experiences. So that's something that our team is getting trained in, and another cultural piece that we'll be able to add into our classrooms and into our study abroad experiences. So like I said, we're not just study abroad, we're really a cultural global office, really across the board. And we just want our students in human sciences to have as many opportunities to be involved in that as they possibly can, and to grow while they're here with us. So we'll go to study abroad now.
Yeah. And so I'm not going to go into all of our programs because we have a lot, but I just wanted to give everyone a quick little visual to let you see all the different locations we have all around the world. And these are constantly changing. There's some that are kind of core programs that stay, but we're always adding programs to our roster. Some that we're very excited about moving forward, things that we have coming down the line. Yeah, so as you can see, we're all over the world. But really what I want to talk about is I want to focus on our students and the stories of their experiences and how study abroad has really impacted their lives. So our first student is Elizabeth Bundrick. She just graduated in May. She is an all-star. That's all I can say about her. She was involved in so many different things. She was president of the AMDA, the Apparel Merchandising Design Association. She was a CHS ambassador, a global education study abroad ambassador, among many other things. One of her key experiences, of course, she went on the Joseph S. Bruno Auburn Abroad in Italy program in the spring of 2019. And after that experience, she applied for an internship at Epcot and the World Showcase. And she got the position along with actually one of our other students, Riley. I'm blanking on her last name, our other student, Riley. And when they got there, they realized that they were the two youngest interns out of the whole group. And Elizabeth is a go-getter, if anyone knows Elizabeth. And she just straight up asked, like, why did I get this internship? And they pointed directly to her experiences with the Joseph S. Bruno program, saying with this experience, she was a buyer for the World Showcase in Italy. She'd had experience in Germany, and there was one other section. And it's our two students were there because of directly related to their experience here in Italy. And if they had not had that experience, they would have not had those opportunities. And then Elizabeth interned, I think, both at Kohl's and Lilly Pulitzer, and now she currently works for Lilly Pulitzer. And so she is just, she's taken over the world. She's fantastic. And she was always a joy to be around and such an advocate for study abroad. Our second student is Abby Benz. So she was one of our Global Studies and Human Sciences students. She attended the Joseph S. Bruno program. Just as a heads up, I might say JSB instead, because it's a little bit less of a mouthful. So now you know what that means. So she attended JSB in the spring of 2018. And then she went to Nepal with me in the summer of 2018. And so she did those back-to-back work, which was quite an experience to go from living in a palace in Italy to then traipsing all over Nepal, hiking, trekking through the foothills of the Himalayas. But she did it, and she did an incredible job. After graduation, she actually worked in development here in CHS as a student worker. She went on to work for the Miami Marlins development and the Gateway Grizzlies development. And then she competed for the Limestone County Sheriff's Rodeo Queen in 2020, and she won that. Her platform came directly from her experiences with study abroad, particularly in Nepal. In Nepal, Abby interned with an organization that fights human trafficking. And her platform focused on women's empowerment, but also awareness of human trafficking and the things that are going on, not only around the world, but also in our own communities. And that was her platform, and that's what helped her win that rodeo queen crown. And then she ended up running for the Miss Rodeo USA, and she came in as a first runner-up. So we're super proud of the things she's doing. She's continued that platform, even as she's kind of finished up some of her rodeo queen stuff. She's still very involved in rodeo and is continuing to kind of push that narrative of empowerment and awareness. And she's just, she's a great student to stay in touch with. She's always very responsive, and we miss having her around here. And one more quote, she did send me a quote she wanted to make sure that I shared. And her quote is, "Auburn not only gave me an education, it gave me the world." And I think that's just a really powerful statement from one of our students. Our last student story, her name is Alexandra Howard. She was a hospitality management major. She went to JSB in fall of 2016, returned as an administrative intern for the program in spring of 2018. And now she's actually back at Auburn getting her master's in hospitality management. And her goal in doing that, one of her main goals was to be able to come back and do more study abroad programs and have more international experiences. But in the meantime, She has worked at the Masters multiple years in a row. She worked at the Super Bowl this last year in a hospitality management project. Again, she's currently pursuing her master's here. And she also pursued and completed an international mentorship through the Office of International Programs with a very prominent former alumni. That was actually profiled in the Auburn News recently. So y'all can look back at your Auburn newsletters and see where she was profiled there. And I love really telling the stories of our students and their experiences, because we see every day the impact that these programs and the work that we do has on our students. And I really love being able to express it to other people. I want everyone to understand that this is not just a job, it's very much a passion for all of us. And these stories make it very, very worthwhile for us. And now on to Lacey. Oh, you're still muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for welcoming me into your homes and your offices today. I'm just going to start out a little bit introducing myself. My name is Lacey Armstrong, and I am the director here in Italy. Once upon a time, I was actually a JSB student also. So my experience as a JSB student has launched me into 2 different careers. Both times I got to go to Italy and live in Italy for both of them. So it's been fantastic, and I've loved my experience taking over the program in 2018. So the Joseph S. Bruno Auburn Abroad in Italy program, as Megan said, we shorten that to JSB, or just the Italy program, a lot around here, is a year-round program that we offer in the fall, spring, and summer with 22 students per semester. It is about 3 months long, and the students get a full 16 credits for their time that they spend with us here in Italy. And they have different options of how they're going to spend their credits, if that's how you'd like to say it. They can either get an international minor in human sciences, or they can also opt to use their credits in Italy towards their global studies or their human development and family studies internship requirements that they have for each of those different programs. Our program is located in Ariccia, Italy, and our housing is actually in the historic Palazzo Chigi, or Chigi Palace as it's better known. If you had the opportunity recently to go to the Jewel Collins Smith Museum, we had a huge exhibit there with a bunch of the art actually from the Chigi Palace. So we had many alumni that went back and revisited all of the art from their favorite curator in the world, Francesco Petrucci. And so everyone got to enjoy a little piece of Ariccia in Auburn. And so that was a lot of fun. As I said before, our program only holds 22 students. And we are hoping and looking at different expansion opportunities in the future. We're still evaluating if those are going to be viable. But just to let you know, we do have some naming opportunities available that start as low as $5,000. So if you're interested, you could talk to Michelle McBride about those opportunities as well. And that just helps us to continue providing, the beautiful home that we do for our students, and you'll get a chance to see a little tour of that. So what does the experience look like for our students? We try to hit everything and then go deeper on some topics. So of course, our students are immersed in the depth and the beauty of Italian art and history, from medieval to Baroque to modern art, and even going, back into ancient Roman area, and before that to the Etruscans. So we like to cover it all while they're here. And they get to really examine some of the social and political systems and norms, learning more about Italian family structures, how the political system works, how immigration works, some of the more hairy topics, like the refugee crisis that is happening in Europe. And they get to explore those topics more in depth, and they get to kind of pick and choose some of those topics that they want to explore deeper, and they have projects that they work on for that. A big part of why we're able to offer the internship credits for the global studies students is from our global leadership curriculum. So as Abby Storm was talking about before, we get into the cultural intelligence side of things, and we dig a little bit deeper, and we really explore all of the culture value preferences that make the United States and make Italy different from each other, and so that they can kind of use those things to learn more about the rest of the world. And then they work on their coaching and their leadership skills too, so they can enter the workforce really ready to make changes, really ready to help other people make changes and develop themselves when they are bosses and leaders and managers when they enter industry. In addition to that, we also have something called the Elevate Ariccia project, which is a new capstone project that we started incorporating about a year ago, before the pandemic, into our curriculum. So the Elevate Ariccia project is a fantastic partnership with the local community, where the students get an opportunity to see the beauty that Ariccia is, and then what they would like to help it become. So how to reinvigorate the local economy, how to bring in maybe some more tourists. And the students this semester have chosen to work on a marketing campaign to bring in more tourists and to let people know just what's available here. A beautification project to help kind of spruce up some of the storefronts, and then kind of helping to revamp some of the storefronts and maybe bring other businesses in from neighboring towns to offer more opportunities for people to shop and to help the locals as well. And they get to choose what those topics are going to be and expand on them. And they're actually working on interviewing locals to make sure that their ideas are viable right now. Of course, probably everyone's favorite part of the program, at least when the parents come visit and when our alumni come visit, are the authentic cooking classes and wine appreciation classes that we take. So we like to get into the, as I said, the authentic side of things. So you're not going to find chicken Alfredo. We're going to be making real tiramisu, carbonara, all those classic Roman dishes. And then we try to explore dishes from other areas of the country of Italy as well. And then we also like to learn about some of the different social aspects of why these dishes are popular and dig in a little bit deeper on those things. So that's kind of our 12-week program jammed into about 5 minutes. But Megan, if you could hop on to the next slide for me, and we'll talk about some of the things that we've done while we were away from our students for a while. So as many of you know, we weren't able to have students in Italy for 3 full semesters. So we missed a whole year with our students, almost a year and a half with our students. And during that time, we didn't want to lose touch with our students. We didn't want to lose touch with our alumni. And we didn't want our skills to go to waste. So we kind of did a little bit of a pivot. You might have found us on the Facebook Live events where we had some cooking classes and some wine tasting classes, and you got to meet up with people that you may have met if you've come over to Italy to visit us before. We also launched a virtual study abroad course, which at first I thought that it would just be maybe a 1 or 2 semester thing, but it's a popular course and the students are really enjoying it. And so we're going to be able to use that as a year-round course that we're going to be able to offer in the future. And this course is kind of like a mini JSB in a way. So it's cooking classes, and then also examining the cultural intelligence through the lens of Italy using Italy kind of as a lens to the rest of the world. So developing those cultural intelligence skills and then seeing how they can translate into working in other intercultural environments. And then we also just took the opportunity to take a really good look at the program that we had and loved here in Italy and made some modifications to make it a better fit for our students so that they could learn more, especially about sustainability. And also just leaning into kind of those opportunities around Italy that people don't usually get to see. So if you're following us on Instagram, we're going to all sorts of cool new places that our programs never got to visit before, and some old favorites that we've kind of revitalized. So lots of really beautiful architecture, beautiful art, and just really getting off the beaten path a little bit. And so that's all I've got for you, but I really would like to introduce you to Emma Bradley. So Emma, are you there? Okay. We have Emma and Molly, and they're actually global studies students who are here in Italy with me, but due to masking rules, we're separated. And so I just wanted to give them the opportunity to tell you a little bit about their experience as global studies students, and also their experience with JSB.
Hi, so I'm Emma, and I wanted to talk a little bit about how being the first semester that we can count this program as our Global Studies internship, and how that has been this semester and what it's looked like. So we've been here 5 weeks, and I will say I had no idea what to expect when we were told that we were allowed, that this was now an internship opportunity. Because from what I'd heard about the JSB program, I just didn't see how it would fit. I am so shocked and so happy with how it is working out and how much I feel that I've grown in my leadership capabilities, thanks to the different activities and programs that we work through. And I genuinely can say that even though it's not a normal internship and the fact that like you're in an office setting, I think I'm probably getting more experience in working on my leadership skills and working in my communication skills with people from different backgrounds than I would in a normal office setting. And I think that's really, really special. And I'm really glad that we had the opportunity to do this. Beyond that, going off of having the opportunity to even be here, Molly and I found out together very late into spring semester. It was right around Easter that we got the email that there were spots. And I texted my mom and I was like, hey, so I can study abroad. And it was like an immediate yes, go, we'll figure, like, go kind of thing. And I am so unbelievably grateful. It was really overwhelming, how short of a time, because there is a prep course that goes along with this just to get you in the mindset of living in Italy for 2.5 months. And so the prep course was super condensed and it went by super quick and it was a little overwhelming, but I am so, so, so grateful for the opportunity to be here. And I wouldn't trade anything for this opportunity.
Yeah, I would have to say the exact same thing. It was almost like the stars aligned a little too much for when we got that email. I've been talking to Abby Storm already about trying to find an internship for this summer because, as we all know, the pandemic impacted a lot of things. And one of those things happened to be finding an internship. And especially after I've been on multiple study abroad lists and being prepared to go, and they've gotten canceled just due to current situation. So hearing that this summer was the first time that Auburn's getting to reboot their program, and especially the Global Education Office, because study abroad, like Abby Storm and Megan said, is such a big part of our program. It just feels right having it back up again. And I'm so thankful that we're here this semester because we're getting to see it for the first time in action. And going off of what Emma said about the internship, and like Lacey was saying, the CQ or cultural intelligence program and assessment that we get to do really does prepare us in ways that I just wasn't even ready for, in a sense. I took the CQ assessment back when I was a freshman, my first semester at Auburn with Abby Storm in her global studies class. And I remember taking it and like, I was so confident about my cultural intelligence, or what I thought it was, coming in from, the one city I've lived in my whole life, and being ready just to show off. But I was shocked at that first assessment and how like little I did know. And I remember sitting in the classroom and reading my scores and just feeling so stuck. I was like, wow, the things I'm really lacking are my experiences in the new world. I'm missing using the languages I've been learning for so long. I'm missing all these firsthand experiences that do progress my cultural intelligence. And there's really nothing I can do about it right now besides just continue learning and reading and all the opportunities that Auburn gives us. But now, now that I am in a different country and a new situation, we took the cultural intelligence test a few weeks into being here. I think it was like our second week, maybe. So early in the program, but just after a week or two, I had already noticed my CQ score go up so much. I mean, it was insane, just the difference between not stepping foot outside the country for anything besides a vacation versus being here just for the short amount of time we have been, the difference. And I'm grateful that the CQ assessment allows us to see that difference, because at first you don't really understand why the assessment is a thing, because you're like, I don't know how to answer these. Like, what is this going to tell me? But after seeing the combination of what Abby Storm did in Global Studies 2000 and what Lacey's shown us here in Italy, it's really been a useful tool in my professional development. And then I guess moving on into, we were asked to talk about whether or not we're grateful being here, or I guess whether we regret coming. I think it's safe to say that neither of us regret it. And a big worry of my mom, I guess per se, when I was coming, is she was constantly saying, I don't want this experience to be stinted by any way or hampered by COVID and how it's affected Italy. I mean, we've all seen how hard Italy has been hit in this pandemic, but being here and following the COVID restrictions, I feel as if I'm getting just as much or even more of an experience as past, we call them Chigi babies, have gotten to experience. We're in a smaller group, which really does change a lot of things about our program. We've been able to experience a few things, even here in Ariccia, that we wouldn't have been able to in a larger group. And I feel like because we are coming off of such a long, I guess, travel halt, the Italian community is so eager to accept us, which I don't know if that's a normal thing. I mean, I know Ariccia is, but we'll be walking down the street and Americano, like it's strange, but also makes us feel accepted and then more comfortable to test our language skills. Yes. And I don't know, they already know we're going to mess up anyway. So there's no fear in trying. So that's what I have to say about it.
No, I definitely agree with that. And I think that having the opportunity to come in such a small group, and when Italy isn't packed with tourists, like it normally would be in the summer, is something so, so special. Like when we did our first Rome tour, we went to ancient Rome. So we got to see the Pantheon, the Colosseum, the Trevi Fountain, all the great sites. And we did the Trevi Fountain in 15 minutes. That's unheard of. That's not a thing people can do. And so to some extent, it's definitely very different, but I don't have any problem with it being so different. I'm grateful it's different. Mm-hmm. I'll trade wearing a mask around the palace for only being at the Trevi Fountain for 15 minutes and not being in crowds all the time.
Yeah. And like Lacey said, I think because of the pandemic and all the strides we've taken, our guests, and we didn't, but what the Global Education Office has done to prepare just this program for more security and for the unknown future of everything going more partnership online and Zoom calls, virtual study abroad, I think that in a sense is great for the long run. Obviously, no one wanted the pandemic to happen, but in my opinion, it's only strengthened the program, because we're able to see more, do more, and learn more while we're here, just because of the different opportunities we have.
No, I agree completely. But yeah, we are just overall super grateful for the opportunity to be here. And so just a big thank you to everyone that made this happen, because it's the absolute best thing that's ever happened to me.
Right. Ditto.
Thank you, guys. Maybe we can kind of show the little tour of where you guys are at. You guys don't have to do the tour. Megan has a video, don't worry.
Okay, sorry, no. I want to make this full screen and let me know if everyone can hear this.
Thank you for inviting us into your homes today. Now we'd like to show you ours.
Megan, we lost the sound when you muted.
In 2009, we opened our fully renovated residential campus. This beautiful space is not only our students' classroom, but it's also their home. Students enjoy full access to a commercial kitchen, which they use not only just for cooking classes, but also for preparing their own home-cooked meals. Each semester, we welcome up to 22 students into the Joseph S. Bruno Auburn Abroad in Italy program. Students enjoy shared lofted bedroom spaces, which accommodate between 4 and 7 people. The bedrooms are outfitted with wardrobes, a shelving unit, as well as drawers under the bed. We call this furniture combination the student's nest. Of course, all linens are included, and students have the freedom to personalize their space. Last, but certainly not least, you just can't beat the views from Auburn University's only permanent overseas campus.
All right, Lacey, anything else you want to add to that?
No, just know that we do have those naming opportunities available. So please do reach out to Michelle McBride if you're interested in helping us maintain and improve the space for the students. And I think we're open to any questions if anyone has any.
I just have a quick comment. So it was so great to see all of you, and so wonderful to hear from the students, and the enthusiasm was incredibly contagious. It's the real deal, and you can certainly see that. So I certainly appreciate the students for taking part today as well. And I've never seen the spaces so clean. Normally there are a lot of students there with all of their belongings all there, but it was a beautiful tour. Nice to be able to see it that way. But I'm so happy that it's back the way it normally should be, and that is to be filled with students and all of their accompanying clothes and items and pictures and all of those things. So thanks, guys. Great job. And it was wonderful to see all of you, and so happy to know things are going so well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Just so that everyone knows, Polaroid cameras are big again. So the Polaroid pictures are all over the student cork boards right now.
How old is the palace?
So originally it was a 15th century palace, but Gianfranco Bernini, he re-renovated it in the late 1500s. So I'm not great at math. About 500 years old or so.
Wow, very cool. I guess, and piggybacking on that, when did Auburn acquire the building? Does Auburn own the building or leasing it, or when did that partnership start?
So in 2002, our students came over for the first time, and the students actually used to live in a hotel across the bridge from the palace. But the dream was kind of always to have a space at the Palazzo Chigi, and there was always a classroom space in the museum area of the upstairs of the palace. The palace itself is actually owned by the city of Ariccia, and we just have a long-term lease on our space and our own private area. The rest of the palace, outside of where our dormitories and classrooms and everything are, is actually the largest Roman Baroque art museum in the world. And so the city of Ariccia owns that. It was purchased from the Chigi family, I believe in 1993 or somewhere around there. And Auburn worked very hard to build our campus, and the campus, the campus living space was open to students in 2009.
Very cool. I'm sorry to monopolize the questions, but I keep thinking of things. So I know you have 10 study abroad programs. Is that correct? Would you say Italy is the most popular program, or the most traveled to destination?
Absolutely. I mean, the benefit of, having our campus in Italy, and we can host students all year round, so fall, spring, and summer. And of course, in a regular semester, we normally have around 20 students. And so we have, I guess, 22 total. So 66 students coming every single year. And with the program, it's kind of our flagship program. And right now, lists look a little bit different with impact of COVID, but typically we book our program about 2 years in advance. So when freshmen come in, they sign up for their junior year, and there's usually not openings before that time anyways. And so we do that. And then we have, once the semester fills up, we'll start a wait list for that semester as well, which also gets long pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback just a little bit. Something that I don't think we've mentioned is there's not a lot of opportunity for graduate students to study abroad. It's just not something that you see a lot at Auburn in general. But how I kind of got into this office and into this role, and I got to see my nest on that video, and made me really happy, is that we do take a TA typically, that the executive director, so Lacey, gets to choose, and there's probably lots of applicants because it's very rare that a grad student gets to study abroad, and they get to go essentially for free. So instead of getting paid, they just don't have to pay the program fee, which is a great deal. And I've been twice as a TA, which is everything that the student said is just so true, even when I went in 2015. So that's another big opportunity that graduate students get to kind of take advantage of in the College of Human Sciences, because we don't get the opportunity to do that a lot.
Right, and we were going to try and launch in summer 2020 a graduate student focused program that would be based in Ariccia as well, which I just sent out an email today to faculty who's going to plan to run a study abroad in summer 22. So we'll kind of see where the year takes us, and hoping to get as many of our programs back up and running as possible. We definitely have students already. They're ready to get abroad. And so I'm not worried about filling our programs. The challenge will be making sure we can follow all the protocols of all the different countries, but we are up for the challenge because we are so ready to get students back abroad right now.
That's awesome. Any other questions? I've got more. I could keep going. I should probably just stay on with y'all afterwards.
Keep going. We're fine.
So what the Ariccia program started, I'm putting my timeline together, in 2002. What's your newest program that you've started offering?
The most recent new program that ran would probably be, was it Peru? Mexico. Abby Storm led a program to Mexico.
Took our last group abroad right before the pandemic hit. We got to go in January of 2020. And we spent a week in Mexico at a sustainability focused farm kind of outside of San Miguel de Allende, if anybody has a frame of reference for Mexico. But that was our last trip before we shut down.
And we have lots of others that we're working towards. We have, I'm working towards a pre-freshman program. So before they even get here, kind of a leadership focus, introducing them to human sciences. So that's one we're working on right now. And some programs that, again, we had a few more that were set to launch in summer of 2020. We're going to try and run our program to Malaysia and Thailand that had a focus on cuisine and culture with one of our hospitality faculty members. And obviously weren't able to do that. So hoping again to get those going. Trying to think what other ones. Went through a nonprofit study abroad, which we haven't had the chance to launch yet. So we have a lot. And then I have faculty members coming to me asking questions about what does it take? You know, how do we get to the point where we can run a study abroad? So we're always working towards more and new programs. And then we have our core programs that kind of are always there. We have Nepal and Fiji and backpacking across Europe, Mediterranean diet, South Africa, Jordan. We can really send our students anywhere in the world, and we're ready to do that.
I'm going to ask all a really difficult question now, because I know you've all had multiple experiences, but then students as well. Of your experiences within these programs or leading these programs, what has been your most impactful experience? I told you it was a tough question.
That hard is like choosing a favorite child or something, because they all have their own unique aspects. For me, my background is I lived abroad. I lived in Nepal for 2 years. And so being able to take students back to experience Nepal, that was really cool for me. Also, just the opportunity. It had been 7 years since I'd been back. So that was incredible for me. And then the next summer I went to Fiji and helped with a program there as well. And they're, in some ways they're similar programs, but in some ways they're so different. And so Nepal was this wonderful, familiar homecoming. And then Fiji was just this wow, this is incredible. I've never been to a place like this before. Living on an island with a tribe and just diving into that culture was just phenomenal. So all of them, sorry.
I kind of took the question a little bit differently. One of my favorite things is seeing the students going from their faces lighting up when they see the Coliseum for the first time, but looking lost at the same time, to by the end of the program, they can tell you how to use every form of public transportation, how to get out of a bind, when something inevitably goes wrong at some point. And they tell you about their favorite failures at the end, how they messed something up and how they kind of got over it, and the confidence that they grow being able to go into the rest of the world and do that. So you can do that in Rome. You can definitely do that in New York during your next internship. So I just like seeing that growth perspective.
Yeah, that's incredibly valuable.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like Megan said, picking a favorite child. Every cohort of students is so different, and there's always something to be learned from them and from the experiences, not just us teaching them how to get around or whatever. I think life moment would probably be when I got to go to JSB in 2015 as the TA, because that was the moment that I was study abroad. I want to work with students, and I want to work with students who are traveling globally and growing their cultural intelligence. And that was still a new thing for me as well. And I've grown. And then you even just on this same call, Carrie, Molly, and Emma talk about how CQ has impacted them. And you're we're doing something. And sometimes you forget that what we're doing is important, and they're actually taking it and going and growing with it. And we get so busy working on the next thing that we forget that. So it's nice to be reminded.
That's awesome. And remind us again what percentage of College of Human Sciences students participate in study abroad programs?
For last year,
Well, before then, yes.
We were sitting at about 52% of our graduating seniors had some kind of international experience abroad.
Wow.
Which I will brag on us very much. The national average is about 10% and Auburn's average is 17%. So we're blowing it out of the water. Pat ourselves on the back.
Awesome. Yes. That's fantastic. All right. Does anybody have anything else? All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for being here today, for participating, and also to Megan and Abby Storm and Lacey and Emma and Molly for sharing your experiences with us. We really appreciate y'all taking time out of your day to be with us. And this program will be recorded, or is being recorded, and will be posted on our Women's Philanthropy Board YouTube page. If you know of someone who would be interested in this information, you'd like to share it with them, please feel free to do so. You can also find recordings of a lot of our past programs on that YouTube page. And we have a couple of really wonderful programs coming up later in this summer that we would love for you to participate in. For the first time ever, we're doing WPB Summer Nights. This year will be held on July 22nd, and we're going to feature Rick Bragg, who is a Pulitzer Prize-winning author. And so tickets to general public will be open on Monday. I'd love to tell you more about that if you're interested. And then later in the summer, we'll have a program on mindful money matters led by Laurel Calloway, who is a financial planner. And we have more going into the fall, but I'll stop there. So we've always got stuff in the works. And if you're interested in learning more about anything that Women's Philanthropy Board does, I'm happy to talk to you, or you can talk to Sid James, our executive director, or Kim Walker, our director, and we're always available. So thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.